The first thing that hits you when you sit down to watch the trailer for Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning is that immediate, undeniable sense that we are not just entering another spy thriller, but a full-scale, meticulously engineered cinematic spectacle. You know that Tom Cruise has been pushing the boundaries of action cinema for decades, but somehow, with every installment, it feels like he's rewriting the rule book. Not just for the Mission Impossible franchise, but for Hollywood stunts as a whole. From the very first frame of this trailer, there's a palpable energy, a kinetic rhythm, almost like the film itself has a heartbeat, and you can feel it thumping in time with each pulse-pounding sequence. And what's remarkable is that the trailer doesn't just throw chaos at you. It teases, it seduces, it gives you just enough to understand that the stakes are higher than ever, while still leaving the full scale of the narrative shrouded in secrecy. The opening shots are a study in tension, a trademark of Christopher McQuarrie's direction. There's this sequence that immediately grabs your attention. Tom Cruise, suspended from what looks like a speeding train, clinging to the exterior with a mix of sheer physicality and the sort of cinematic bravado that has become his signature. It's almost impossible to watch without holding your breath, not just because the stunt is insane, but because Cruise has this uncanny ability to ground even the most extreme sequences in a form of human vulnerability. You see the strain in his muscles, the determination etched on his face, and for a moment, you forget you're watching a film. It's as if you are witnessing a real, dangerous mission unfolding right in front of you. And that's a bold statement in itself. There's no green screen fakery that distracts you, no obvious CGI that removes you from the intensity. McQuarrie and Cruise have spent years refining this formula, and it shows. The trailer then pivots to a series of rapid-fire cuts that hint at a globe-spanning conspiracy. You get glimpses of exotic locations, crumbling European architecture, the stark, icy expanse of what could be Scandinavia, and the high-tech interiors that suggest some shadowy organization pulling strings from behind the scenes. What's fascinating is how each location is not just a backdrop, but a character in itself. The way the camera lingers for a heartbeat on a street corner or a cliff edge gives you the sense that every setting has been chosen deliberately, designed to heighten tension, and to make the audience feel the sheer unpredictability of Ethan Hunt's world. And speaking of Hunt, the trailer gives us subtle hints that this film is more than just another series of stunts. It's a deep dive into the psychology of its characters. There are moments where Tom Cruise's expression tells you more than dialogue ever could. There's doubt, urgency, even a hint of weariness that speaks to the cumulative toll of these near-suicidal missions. It's a subtle reminder that behind every explosive action sequence, there's a character who is profoundly human, and that human dimension is what continues to anchor the franchise emotionally. Another standout element in the trailer is the way it balances nostalgia with innovation. Fans of the franchise will immediately recognize callbacks, the iconic IMF insignia, fleeting glimpses of previous allies, and the ever-present motif of trust and betrayal. Yet, it's not just recycling old beats. There's a clear sense that the film is forging new ground. The sequence involving what appears to be a futuristic high-tech weapon, combined with the shadowy figures maneuvering in the background, suggests a threat that is both immediate and existential. It's reminiscent of classic espionage narratives, but elevated with contemporary stakes and cinematic bravado. And that balance is tricky. McQuarrie has a way of threading this needle consistently, ensuring that longtime fans feel rewarded while newcomers are not lost in the complexity of previous films. The sound design in the trailer deserves its own mention. The way the score swells during the tension-filled moments, only to cut abruptly to silence, creates a rhythm that feels almost like a physical force. It's not just background music, it's a narrative device. Every crash, every gunshot, every heartbeat in the audio track is meticulously placed to maximize immersion. And then there's the subtle inclusion of ambient sounds. Wind whipping through a canyon, the metallic screech of a high-speed vehicle. Details that make the world feel tactile, almost touchable. You get the sense that this is a film that has been obsessively crafted, where no detail is too small, and where every auditory cue is part of the storytelling. Visually, the trailer is stunning, without ever feeling gratuitous. The cinematography captures both the grandeur and the intimacy of the story. There's a sequence where Ethan Hunt is racing across rooftops, and the camera follows him with such fluidity that you feel like you're part of the chase, moving alongside him. And then there's a juxtaposition with close-up shots, moments where the tension is internal, captured in the subtle twitch of a hand, the narrowing of eyes, or the almost imperceptible shift in posture. These moments remind you that, at its core, Mission Impossible isn't just about spectacle. It's about precision, calculation, and human ingenuity under pressure. The trailer, in essence, functions as a microcosm of the entire film. Adrenaline-fueled sequences, intricate plotting, and the ever-present question of trust and survival. We also catch brief glimpses of supporting characters who appear to be more integral than in past entries. Ving Rhames' familiar presence provides continuity, but there's also new blood that injects fresh energy and unpredictability into the narrative. The trailer teases alliances, betrayals, and moral ambiguity in a way that suggests this film is not just about punching through walls, but also navigating the murky waters of loyalty and deception. And this is particularly interesting because it speaks to the evolving nature of the franchise. The stakes have always been high, but there's an added layer here, an almost philosophical undertone about the costs of constant espionage, the weight of past decisions, and the burden of responsibility on those who operate in the shadows. Of course, one cannot ignore the sheer audacity of the stunts highlighted in the trailer. Tom Cruise hanging off the edge of a speeding train is only the tip of the iceberg. There are hints of high-speed chases across treacherous terrains, breathtaking skydiving sequences, and close-quarters combat that feels brutally real. What makes these stunts extraordinary is not just their scale, but the way they're shot. Immersive, fluid, and often from angles that make the audience almost complicit in the danger. Cruise's commitment to performing these stunts himself adds an authenticity that is impossible to fake, and sets a new bar for action cinema. You feel the risk, you feel the tension, and in some strange way, you respect the dedication required to pull off such feats at the age of nearly 60. There's also a subtle thematic thread running through the trailer, the concept of reckoning. The title itself, Dead Reckoning, suggests a confrontation with consequences, a culmination of the decisions and sacrifices made in previous missions. The trailer teases this not through exposition but through visual storytelling, lingering shots of ruined environments, desolate landscapes, and the haunted expressions of characters who have lived through extreme circumstances. It suggests that the film may explore the emotional and psychological cost of espionage in a way that previous installments have only hinted at. This adds a layer of depth that elevates the trailer from mere hype to something that feels narratively significant. By the end of the trailer, you're left with a sense of awe, but also a measured curiosity. There's no overwhelming flood of spoilers, just a carefully curated set of impressions that tease the film's scope and ambition. The visuals, the stunts, the character hints, and the sound design all coalesce into a cohesive whole that communicates the stakes without giving away the story. It's a masterclass in trailer construction, balancing tension, intrigue, and spectacle while keeping the audience hungry for more. And perhaps the most remarkable thing is that it manages to feel entirely unique, even after 7 previous Mission Impossible films. It reassures the audience that despite the franchise's long history, it's not resting on past glories. It's still innovating, still daring, and still redefining what an action blockbuster can be. The trailer also subtly emphasizes teamwork and the intricate web of relationships that Ethan Hunt navigates. While Hunt is the central figure, the glimpses of his allies in action suggest that this is very much a collaborative effort, with each character's skill set being crucial to the success, or failure, of the mission. This continues a recurring motif in the franchise, the importance of trust in high-stakes environments. It's a narrative thread that has been refined over the years, and here it's hinted at with precision. an acknowledgement that even the most skilled operative cannot operate in isolation. Finally, there's the almost imperceptible emotional undertone threaded through the trailer. Between explosions and chases, you catch glimpses of human connection, fleeting moments of doubt, and the quiet weight of responsibility. These are the nuances that elevate a high-octane action film into something more resonant, something that lingers in your mind long after the trailer ends. It's a reminder that while Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning promises spectacle, it also promises a story, a journey, and a human element that is often overlooked in action cinema. In conclusion, the trailer for Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning succeeds in every conceivable way. It hooks you with adrenaline, engages you with character nuance, and leaves you with a sense of anticipation that borders on obsession. It's not just a preview of a movie, it's a declaration of intent, a statement that this franchise, and Tom Cruise in particular, are still at the top of their game. It teases an adventure that is as much about emotional stakes and personal reckoning as it is about physical danger and cinematic spectacle. By the time the trailer finishes, you are not just excited, you are invested, curious, and eagerly awaiting the moment when this latest installment finally hits the big screen, promising an experience that only the Mission Impossible franchise can deliver. The story opens in a world that feels increasingly unstable, one where technology and espionage have merged into a nearly untraceable, omnipresent threat. Ethan Hunt, played with the familiar intensity by Tom Cruise, is back, older, wiser, but no less fearless, facing a mission that immediately sets the tone. The stakes aren't just national or global anymore. They're existential. Right from the first scenes, the film establishes a heightened sense of danger, blending realistic espionage elements with the franchise's trademark larger-than-life action sequences. Hunt is immediately plunged into a scenario where intelligence has failed, alliances are fragile, and the threat is both elusive and devastating. What makes this opening compelling is how McQuarrie chooses to balance exposition with immediate tension. We're dropped into the action without a long setup, but through brief interactions, subtle visuals, and meticulously designed sets, the stakes are instantly clear. The central antagonist, whose identity the film guards jealously at first, is introduced not through direct confrontation, but via the ripple effects of their actions. We see the fallout of sabotage, compromised intelligence networks, and the human cost of failed operations. This is a deliberate choice by the filmmakers, designed to give the audience a sense that the threat is always present, lurking just outside the frame, unseen yet omnipotent. It's a clever narrative device, as it turns every seemingly minor interaction into a potential danger, keeping viewers perpetually on edge. Even the secondary characters feel tension in their movements. No one is ever fully safe, and that sense of unpredictability permeates the entire story. One of the key plot threads involves a highly advanced piece of technology, a weaponized AI system that can manipulate digital and physical infrastructure globally. The film doesn't spoon-feed exposition about the system, but instead introduces it organically, through surveillance sequences, cryptic messages, and brief interactions with hackers and operatives. This approach respects the audience's intelligence and creates a more immersive narrative. As Hunt and his team attempt to track down the origin and capabilities of this system, the film takes care to illustrate the high stakes. One misstep could lead to catastrophic consequences. The tension is compounded by the notion that this system could fall into the hands of anyone willing to exploit it, effectively creating a ticking clock scenario that drives the narrative forward. The team dynamic in Dead Reckoning is fascinating because it explores trust and betrayal more deeply than previous installments. While Hunt has always relied on allies like Luther Stickle, played by Ving Rhames, and Benji Dunn, portrayed by Simon Pegg, this film challenges the stability of those relationships. Early sequences hint at fractures within the team, testing their loyalty and forcing them to operate under extreme pressure. There are moments where a seemingly minor decision leads to significant consequences, highlighting the interconnectedness of the characters' actions. These interpersonal dynamics are as thrilling as the action sequences themselves because they add layers of complexity. You're not just invested in the outcome of the mission, you're invested in the relationships that make the mission possible. The film's pacing is a study in contrasts, alternating between intense, high-octane action sequences and quieter, more contemplative moments. One sequence early in the film places Hunt in a narrow, crowded environment where he must improvise a solution under pressure, using limited resources. This scene exemplifies the film's commitment to blending practical problem-solving with adrenaline-fueled spectacle. It's a reminder that while the franchise is known for set-piece stunts, the best moments are often those where ingenuity and raw human skill intersect with danger. These sequences are interspersed with quieter moments of strategy and planning, allowing the audience to catch their breath and understand the stakes on an intellectual level, not just a visceral one. A particularly compelling subplot revolves around the idea of legacy and consequence. The film frequently references Hunt's previous missions, not in an exposition-heavy manner, but through visual callbacks, character interactions, and the lingering weight of past decisions. This thread adds depth, suggesting that every mission has a cost, and that the world of espionage is cumulative. Actions in one film resonate and complicate the narrative in this one. There's a philosophical undertone here, a subtle meditation on risk, sacrifice, and the moral ambiguities that define the spy genre. The audience is encouraged to reflect on the personal stakes for Hunt, and by extension, the human cost of the adrenaline-fueled world he inhabits. The narrative architecture of Dead Reckoning is intricate, weaving multiple threads together with precision. There's a secondary antagonist network, composed of operatives who have their own agendas and motivations. Their interactions with Hunt's team create tension and unpredictability, as alliances are constantly in flux. The film introduces several red herrings and moments of misdirection, challenging the audience to anticipate outcomes while ensuring that every twist feels earned. This approach requires careful attention from the viewer, but pays off by creating a narrative that is intellectually engaging, as well as emotionally and viscerally thrilling. One of the film's most striking aspects is its treatment of surveillance and information warfare. Modern espionage is no longer just about physical infiltration, but also digital manipulation. And Dead Reckoning incorporates this theme throughout. Scenes where Hunt and his team intercept communications, analyze digital footprints, or navigate the shadowy world of cyber operations are integrated seamlessly into the story. These sequences are tense because they highlight the invisible nature of modern threats. You don't see a bomb ticking down or a gun pointed directly at a character. Instead, you feel the danger through the implications of compromised information and the potential for catastrophic exposure. As the story progresses, the stakes escalate in a series of interlinked set pieces that are both breathtaking and narratively coherent. There's a sequence involving a high-speed chase across coastal cliffs, executed with practical effects and minimal CGI, which illustrates the franchise's commitment to realism within its heightened cinematic world. Another sequence places Hunt in a claustrophobic urban environment, requiring him to navigate rooftops, alleyways, and underground passages, blending parkour, strategy, and improvisation. These moments are meticulously choreographed, creating a tension that feels organic rather than imposed. They also serve to highlight Hunt's resourcefulness, emphasizing that his skill set extends beyond brute strength or stunt capability. It's a combination of intellect, experience, and adaptability. The film also explores themes of moral ambiguity and the cost of choices in the spy world. Characters frequently operate in shades of gray, making decisions that may be ethically questionable, but necessary for mission success. This adds a layer of sophistication to the narrative, elevating it beyond simple action spectacle. You witness the consequences of these decisions not only on a macro level, affecting global stability, but also on a personal level, shaping relationships and character development. These nuanced moments contribute to a richer, more immersive experience, making the audience care about the outcome beyond the obvious thrill of action sequences. The interplay between practical stunts and narrative stakes reaches a crescendo in sequences involving vehicles, aircraft, and improvised combat. There's a sequence where Hunt is forced to operate multiple vehicles in a coordinated maneuver, demonstrating not just his physical skill, but his mental agility under extreme stress. The choreography is so precise that it creates a real sense of danger and immersion. Every misstep carries weight, and the tension is palpable because the film presents these moments as immediate, consequential, and unfiltered. It's this commitment to authenticity that has become a hallmark of the franchise and is on full display here. Throughout the first act, there is a persistent undercurrent of suspense, driven not just by action but by narrative uncertainty. The antagonist's motives are gradually revealed, with hints scattered in dialogue, visual cues, and character interactions. The audience is constantly guessing, analyzing, and reassessing allegiances, creating a dynamic viewing experience that is as mentally engaging as it is emotionally gripping. This narrative layering is crucial to the film's success because it transforms what could be a straightforward action thriller into a complex, multi-dimensional story that rewards attention and investment. Ultimately, the first part of the story establishes the core framework for what promises to be an intricate, high-stakes narrative. We see Ethan Hunt operating at the intersection of physical daring, strategic intelligence, and moral complexity, surrounded by a world that is both beautiful and perilous. The film signals early on that it will challenge expectations, raise the stakes, and push the boundaries of the franchise in ways that are both thrilling and meaningful. And while this is only the beginning, it is clear that the story is designed to maintain relentless momentum, keeping viewers engaged through a seamless blend of spectacle, character, and tension. Picking up from the early mission sequences, the film dives deeper into the intricate web of espionage that defines Dead Reckoning. By now, Ethan Hunt and his team are fully aware that they're not just chasing a villain. They're navigating a complex network of competing interests, each with its own agenda. There's an immediate sense that the stakes have moved from global politics into the realm of technological omnipotence. The antagonist's influence stretches across nations, corporations, and underground networks, and the film does a remarkable job of showing this influence through small but telling interactions. A hesitant glance from an ally, a sudden lockdown at a seemingly secure facility, a coded message intercepted too late. These moments highlight how even in a hyper-stylized action world, the narrative cares about logical cause and effect. One of the most compelling aspects of this section is the way Macquarie interweaves personal stakes with professional ones. Hunt is increasingly portrayed not just as an operative, but as a man grappling with the cumulative cost of a life spent on the edge. There are moments of quiet reflection where we see him questioning decisions, weighing the risks to his friends and himself, and confronting the moral ambiguity of his actions. These introspective beats are juxtaposed with sequences of near-impossible stunts, creating a rhythm that keeps the audience both on edge and emotionally invested. You feel the weight of the mission not just as a spectator, but almost viscerally, because the characters themselves are visibly burdened by it. The film introduces new allies in this segment, each adding texture and complexity to the story. Unlike prior installments, where secondary characters often serve a narrowly functional role, Dead Reckoning gives them distinct motivations, fears, and skills. For instance, there's a character, whose allegiance is ambiguous early on, whose expertise in cyber operations and intelligence gathering becomes crucial in decoding the antagonist's moves. The narrative teases potential betrayal while simultaneously showcasing genuine heroism, keeping viewers in a constant state of suspense. Macquarie uses these relationships to remind the audience that trust is fragile in this universe, and that alliances can shift in a heartbeat. One of the standout sequences in this section involves a meticulously planned infiltration of a high-security facility. The tension is palpable, not only because of the physical danger, but because of the layered strategy required. Hunt and his team navigate laser grids, biometric locks, and multiple security protocols, each step choreographed with precision. What's fascinating here is that the action isn't purely spectacle. It's driven by narrative necessity. Every move, every improvisation, every narrow escape builds on the stakes established earlier. This is the franchise's hallmark: action that feels earned and logical within the story's framework, rather than arbitrary explosions meant solely to impress. As the narrative unfolds, the antagonist's plan becomes clearer, but the story continues to thrive on misdirection and suspense. There's a subplot involving stolen intelligence, with various factions vying for control over a cache of sensitive information. This subplot serves multiple purposes. It raises the stakes, provides opportunities for thrilling set pieces, and allows for the exploration of moral dilemmas. Characters are forced to make decisions where the right choice is unclear, highlighting the ethical gray zones of espionage. These moments deepen the narrative, elevating it from a standard action thriller into a story that rewards careful attention and emotional engagement. The film also explores the theme of legacy. Hunt is confronted with reminders of past missions and the consequences of previous actions. These callbacks aren't mere fan service, they have tangible effects on the story. Old adversaries resurface, past mistakes create vulnerabilities, and long-standing relationships are tested in new ways. This layering of history adds texture to the narrative, making the stakes feel both immediate and cumulative. The audience is reminded that Hunt's world is interconnected, and that every action carries weight, both narratively and emotionally. Action sequences in this section are relentless and increasingly inventive. There's a chase across an urban landscape where vehicles, pedestrians, and environmental hazards all interact dynamically. The cinematography captures this chaos with fluidity, maintaining spatial clarity while maximizing tension. Later, a sequence in a remote mountainous region combines practical stunts with narrative suspense. Hunt must navigate treacherous terrain while avoiding detection, blending physical daring with strategic ingenuity. These sequences are not only visually impressive, but serve to reinforce the story's internal logic. The danger is real, and failure has meaningful consequences. Another compelling narrative thread involves the antagonist's psychological manipulation. The villain isn't just a physical threat, they're a master strategist, using misinformation, deception, and psychological pressure to destabilize Hunt and his team. This elevates the tension beyond the purely physical. Scenes where Hunt is forced to question his own judgments or the loyalty of his allies are especially effective. They show that the stakes are as much mental and emotional as they are physical, providing a layer of narrative sophistication that distinguishes this film from more straightforward action fare. The stakes escalate further when Hunt discovers that the antagonist has access to highly sensitive global systems. The potential for catastrophic disruption looms large. Financial markets, security networks, even civilian infrastructure are at risk. This introduces a ticking clock element, as every minute of delay could lead to irreversible consequences. McQuarrie uses this to build sustained tension, weaving together multiple threads of pursuit, evasion, and counterintelligence. The audience is kept constantly engaged because the narrative momentum is matched by the relentless pace of the action sequences. Interpersonal dynamics continue to be central to this section. The team's cohesion is tested repeatedly, with disagreements over strategy and risk. These conflicts are framed realistically. Characters argue over tactical decisions, weigh moral implications, and struggle with fear and uncertainty. By doing so, the film humanizes what could otherwise be a straightforward action narrative. Every interaction has weight, reinforcing the idea that in Hunt's world, personal relationships are both a source of strength and vulnerability. The narrative structure in this part of the story cleverly alternates between multiple perspectives. While Hunt is often at the center, the film gives viewers glimpses of the antagonist's machinations, secondary operatives, and intelligence agencies observing the unfolding chaos. This multi-threaded approach not only increases suspense, but allows for a broader understanding of the stakes. By seeing the story from multiple vantage points, the audience gains insight into motivations, strategies, and potential vulnerabilities, heightening the sense of engagement and anticipation. As Part 2 progresses, the story begins to push Hunt toward increasingly audacious operations. High-speed pursuits, aerial stunts, and complex infiltration missions escalate the tension while remaining grounded in practical logistics. What's remarkable is the film's ability to maintain plausibility even amidst extreme spectacle. The audience is encouraged to suspend disbelief, but never entirely removed from reality. The consequences of failure are tangible, and the physicality of stunts reinforces that these are human beings operating under extraordinary conditions. As we move into the final portion of the story, the tension reaches a fever pitch. Hunt's mission now has multiple converging objectives: neutralizing the antagonist, securing the weaponized AI system, and protecting his team from both external threats and internal betrayal. The film expertly juggles these narrative threads, ensuring that the stakes remain clear even as the complexity escalates. Every sequence builds logically on the previous one, creating a sense of inexorable momentum. You feel, almost physically, the pressure mounting on Hunt. It's as if the world itself is closing in, leaving no margin for error. One of the most compelling sequences in this section involves a coordinated assault across multiple locations simultaneously. Hunt and his team are split into smaller units, each tasked with securing critical pieces of intelligence. The film intercuts between these teams with precision, highlighting the interconnectedness of their actions. You can see the ripple effect of every decision. A delayed extraction in one location has consequences in another. A misstep triggers alarms, and an unexpected confrontation forces improvisation. This narrative design not only heightens suspense, but also reinforces the realism of complex operations, showing that high-level espionage is rarely linear or predictable. The antagonist's strategy becomes increasingly devious, relying on misdirection, manipulation, and psychological warfare. There's a moment where Hunt must question the loyalty of an ally, a tension-filled sequence that blurs the line between friend and foe. The film cleverly leverages the audience's familiarity with recurring characters while introducing uncertainty. Long-standing alliances are tested, and trust becomes a fragile commodity. These dynamics add a layer of sophistication to the narrative, reminding viewers that in this world, human judgment is as critical as physical skill. The stakes are no longer just tactical, they are deeply personal. Practical stunts remain central to the film's appeal. One standout scene involves Hunt navigating a series of moving platforms, suspended above a dangerous drop, combined with gunfire and pursuit. The tension is heightened not only by the physical danger, but by the precise choreography and spatial clarity of the sequence. You're acutely aware of how close the characters are to failure, and that awareness keeps the audience on edge. McQuarrie's direction emphasizes that these stunts are integral to the story. They're not spectacle for spectacle's sake, but narrative devices that reveal character, skill, and resolve. Technology and espionage converge in a sequence that's both thrilling and intellectually engaging. Hunt and his team must intercept a critical signal while avoiding detection by advanced surveillance systems. The scene blends physical action with digital strategy, showcasing the modern evolution of spycraft. Instead of relying solely on brute force, the narrative emphasizes clever problem-solving, strategic thinking, and adaptability. It's a reminder that Dead Reckoning is as much about mental agility as it is about physical prowess, and that intelligence operations in the 21st century are layered, high-tech, and morally complex. Emotional stakes are amplified in this section. Hunt faces moments of personal risk that force him to confront the consequences of past missions. There's a palpable sense of responsibility, not just for the success of the mission, but for the safety and well-being of his team. These sequences are interspersed with quiet, reflective moments where Hunt's humanity is foregrounded. The film emphasizes that beneath the adrenaline, behind the stunts, lies a man who understands the gravity of his choices, and that awareness adds depth to the narrative. It's what differentiates this film from a standard action thriller. It's emotionally grounded, and the audience is invited to share in the tension, the doubt, and the courage. The narrative reaches its climax with a multi-layered confrontation involving the antagonist, Hunt, and the broader network of operatives. Here, the stakes are both immediate and existential. Failure could mean the loss of critical intelligence, global instability, or even mass casualties. The sequence is meticulously crafted, balancing action, suspense, and narrative logic. Characters move with purpose, each decision has weight, and consequences are visible and impactful. The film maintains spatial clarity during the chaos, ensuring that viewers are never lost, which is critical for a narrative of this scale. McQuarrie also uses the climax to reinforce the themes of trust, legacy, and human ingenuity. Hunt's ability to succeed hinges not just on physical skill, but on his understanding of people, patterns, and consequences. The resolution of the antagonist's plot is achieved through a combination of strategy, intuition, and improvisation, demonstrating that the film values intellect alongside spectacle. This emphasis on cerebral problem-solving amidst high-stakes action differentiates Dead Reckoning from many contemporary blockbusters, grounding its thrills in realism. Throughout this section, the supporting cast continues to shine. Characters who were ambiguous in their motivations earlier reveal depths of loyalty, courage, and resourcefulness. Their development is not superficial. Their decisions directly impact the outcome of the mission, reinforcing the narrative logic. The film ensures that every character earns their place in the story, making victories feel earned and failures meaningful. This focus on ensemble dynamics adds a richness to the storytelling, reminding viewers that Hunt's world is a collective effort, where every individual contributes to the mission's success. The resolution of the central threat is satisfying both narratively and thematically. The antagonist's plan is dismantled through a combination of cunning, bravery, and precise execution. The AI system at the story's core is neutralized not just by brute force, but by a strategic understanding of its vulnerabilities, reflecting the film's commitment to logical storytelling. Hunt's success is a testament to experience, skill, and the careful orchestration of resources, and it reinforces the central message of the franchise, that human ingenuity and determination can overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. Even after the main threat is resolved, the film leaves subtle threads for reflection and potential continuation. Hunt's personal journey is acknowledged. He is changed, aware of the cumulative cost of his choices, and mindful of the responsibilities that come with his profession. These quieter moments provide a sense of closure without being overly sentimental, allowing the audience to process both the narrative and the emotional arc. It's a reminder that action films can carry weight beyond spectacle when character and story are treated with care. Finally, the conclusion of the story maintains tension and excitement even as the immediate threat is neutralized. Hunt and his team demonstrate resilience, strategic brilliance, and adaptability, reinforcing the qualities that have defined the franchise for decades. The final sequences offer both catharsis and a subtle hint that the world of Mission Impossible continues to evolve, with new challenges, new alliances, and new threats on the horizon. The narrative balance of action, emotional depth, and strategic complexity leaves viewers satisfied yet eager for the next installment, perfectly encapsulating what makes this franchise enduring. By the end of Part 3, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning has delivered a story that is intricate, high stakes, emotionally grounded, and intellectually engaging. It balances breathtaking action with character-driven drama, ensuring that every set piece serves a narrative purpose. The antagonist's threat, the team dynamics, the technological stakes, and the emotional journey of Ethan Hunt all converge into a cohesive, compelling cinematic experience. It's a testament to the franchise's evolution, Tom Cruise's dedication, and McQuarrie's meticulous direction that the film maintains both plausibility and spectacle while providing a deeply satisfying narrative payoff. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning landed in theaters with a sense of anticipation that felt almost unprecedented, even for a franchise that has consistently raised the bar over nearly 3 decades. Officially, the film was released in the United States on July 14, 2023, strategically timed to dominate the summer blockbuster season, a period when studios traditionally place their tentpole films to capitalize on school holidays, international audiences, and peak box office attendance. This release date wasn't arbitrary. It positioned the film to contend with other high-profile summer offerings, while avoiding direct clashes with competing franchises that could dilute its impact. The timing also ensured that marketing campaigns could roll out in full force, building momentum from trailers, interviews, and viral social media content, culminating in a wide theatrical push that leveraged both nostalgia and contemporary action expectations. In terms of industry context, Dead Reckoning exists in a unique cinematic environment. The global box office had, in the preceding years, seen a gradual recovery following the pandemic-era disruptions. Studios were increasingly looking for proven franchises with international draw, and Mission Impossible fit that bill perfectly. Tom Cruise, by this point, wasn't just a leading man, he was a global cinematic brand. His willingness to perform extreme stunts himself created a distinct marketing angle that studios could leverage to differentiate this film from other action-oriented releases. In an era where superhero films and fantasy epics dominate, Dead Reckoning carved out a space as a more grounded, human-centered action spectacle, one rooted in practical effects, tangible stunts, and meticulously crafted sequences. The film's marketing strategy was particularly sophisticated. Paramount Pictures, the distributing studio, utilized a blend of traditional advertising and modern digital engagement. Trailers were released in phases. The initial teaser aimed to excite longtime fans by emphasizing signature stunts and franchise continuity, while the full trailer highlighted narrative stakes, plot intricacies, and expanded character arcs. Social media campaigns were designed to encourage fan interaction, including challenges, behind-the-scenes content, and interviews with Cruise and the creative team. This multi-layered approach ensured that the film remained consistently visible in an increasingly crowded media landscape. Industry analysts noted that this was a deliberate move to maintain momentum from global fan interest to theatrical ticket sales, particularly in major markets like North America, Europe, China, and the Middle East. Internationally, the film's release strategy reflected a sophisticated understanding of regional box office dynamics. Countries such as China and the United Kingdom were prioritized with early releases, leveraging the franchise's global recognition and Cruise's enduring international appeal. In these markets, marketing materials were adapted to reflect local preferences, including subtitled or dubbed trailers, regional interviews, and partnerships with cinema chains to provide exclusive content. This global approach ensured that Dead Reckoning was not simply a domestic blockbuster, but a truly international cinematic event, designed to maximize revenue across multiple territories simultaneously. From an industry perspective, the timing of Dead Reckoning also reflects broader trends in franchise filmmaking. The film industry, particularly in Hollywood, has increasingly prioritized established intellectual property over original content because proven franchises offer a lower risk investment. Mission Impossible sits comfortably in this paradigm. With 6 prior installments, the series had built an extensive narrative and a loyal fan base, allowing studios to confidently invest in high-budget stunts, sophisticated production design, and global marketing campaigns. In addition, the decision to split Dead Reckoning into 2 parts, a narrative choice reflecting complex story arcs and the scale of action, mirrors a broader trend observed in other major franchises, such as Avengers or The Hunger Games. This strategy provides both narrative depth and commercial advantage, keeping audiences engaged over multiple releases while maximizing box office returns. The production context is equally notable. Filming took place over multiple years, with locations spanning Europe, the Middle East, and North America. The logistics of such a wide-ranging shoot required coordination on a scale rarely seen outside of the largest Hollywood productions. Notably, Tom Cruise's insistence on performing his own stunts added significant complexity to scheduling, safety protocols, and international shoots, yet it also created a level of authenticity that marketing could highlight. The combination of practical stunts, real-world locations, and high-octane action sequences positioned Dead Reckoning as a standout in the 2023 summer season, appealing to audiences craving tangible thrills rather than purely digital spectacle. The industry's response to the film's release was also indicative of its anticipated impact. Pre-release reviews, early screenings, and audience tracking suggested strong box office performance, with projections estimating opening weekend domestic revenues well above $60 million, and international totals potentially exceeding $250 million in the first 10 days. Analysts highlighted that the franchise's historical performance, combined with Cruise's star power, gave Paramount confidence in a successful global rollout. Comparisons were drawn to earlier entries, noting that each film has historically seen incremental increases in production scale and ambition, reflecting not only audience expectations, but Cruise and Macquarie's relentless pursuit of innovation. Another factor in the film's release strategy was the competitive landscape. In 2023, other major studios released tentpole films, but Dead Reckoning was positioned to avoid direct competition with superhero blockbusters or high-profile fantasy franchises. This allowed it to dominate box office headlines, dominate social media conversation, and secure premium theater placements, including IMAX and Dolby Cinema screenings. By leveraging these high-end formats, the studio enhanced the film's experiential appeal, particularly for sequences involving stunts, chases, and aerial action, emphasizing a cinematic experience that could not be replicated at home. Streaming considerations also played a role. While theatrical release remained the priority, Paramount and its partners were aware that home viewing, whether through premium digital rental or streaming platforms, was an increasingly important revenue stream. By initially emphasizing theatrical exclusivity, the studio could maximize ticket sales while later capitalizing on digital distribution to extend the film's revenue lifecycle. This approach reflects a careful balance, acknowledging industry trends without compromising the immersive, large-format experience that Mission Impossible films are known for. In terms of cultural and industrial context, Dead Reckoning also arrived at a moment when audiences increasingly value authenticity and risk in action films. After years of CGI-heavy spectacles, there's a renewed appreciation for tangible stunts, real locations, and visible human skill. Tom Cruise's personal commitment to performing extreme sequences plays directly into this zeitgeist, reinforcing the film's unique selling proposition. It's not just a blockbuster, it's a testament to the artistry, endurance, and human daring of its performers. This contextual understanding enhances both marketing and audience reception, positioning the film as a benchmark in contemporary action cinema. Finally, the release of Dead Reckoning can be seen as a statement within Hollywood itself. It demonstrates that traditional franchises, led by visionary talent willing to innovate and take risks, can continue to thrive in an era dominated by franchises, superhero films, and digital spectacle. By emphasizing practical stunts, real-world locations, and character-driven storytelling, the film situates itself both as a commercial powerhouse and a critical touchstone for action filmmaking. It reaffirms the viability of high-budget, high-skill, high-stakes cinema in a market that often rewards spectacle but risks sacrificing depth. In sum, the release strategy and industry context of Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning highlight not only the franchise's global appeal, but also Hollywood's calculated approach to blockbuster filmmaking. From careful timing and international marketing to innovative stunt work and narrative complexity, the film's rollout reflects both commercial strategy and artistic ambition. It underscores the ongoing relevance of the franchise, the enduring draw of Tom Cruise, and the franchise's capacity to redefine audience expectations for action cinema in the modern era. The cast of Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning is both a testament to the franchise's legacy and a deliberate evolution of its ensemble dynamics. At the center is, of course, Tom Cruise, reprising his role as Ethan Hunt. Cruise's portrayal has always been a mix of raw physicality, unwavering intensity, and a surprising depth of emotional nuance, and in Dead Reckoning, he elevates the character even further. There's a visible weariness, a sense that Hunt is carrying not only the burden of the current mission, but the cumulative weight of countless previous operations. Cruise brings a layered approach to the role. He is still the adrenaline-fueled action hero who scales trains, leaps from helicopters, and performs death-defying stunts. But there's also a reflective, almost philosophical side that underscores the human cost of a life spent in constant danger. His performance anchors the film, providing both continuity for longtime fans and a focal point for the narrative's emotional stakes. Supporting Cruise is Rebecca Ferguson as Ilsa Faust, a character who has evolved remarkably since her introduction in Rogue Nation. In Dead Reckoning, Faust is more than a skilled operative. She is a moral compass, a strategist, and a complex foil to Hunt's impulsive heroism. Ferguson imbues the role with poise, intelligence, and an underlying tension, often communicating volumes with a glance or subtle expression rather than dialogue. Her dynamic with Hunt is multi-layered, blending professional respect, mutual reliance, and personal history. It's this chemistry that elevates the stakes, both in terms of mission success and narrative tension, making Faust an integral component of the story rather than a peripheral character. Ving Rhames returns as Luther Stickle, providing both continuity and gravitas. Stickle serves as the team's technological backbone, offering expertise in cybersecurity and logistics. Beyond his functional role, Rhames brings a reassuring presence. His character embodies loyalty, experience, and the quiet courage of someone who has weathered countless crises alongside Hunt. Luther's interactions often serve as a counterbalance to Hunt's impulsivity, providing moments of humor, insight, or practical grounding in the midst of chaos. It's a role that reminds viewers why the ensemble is just as crucial as the lead in sustaining a narrative this complex. Simon Pegg continues as Benji Dunn, the team's ever-resourceful tech wizard. Pegg's contributions extend beyond comic relief. He offers creative solutions under pressure and helps humanize the story through his relatability. In Dead Reckoning, Benji is more assertive than in prior entries, taking on operational responsibilities that require courage, ingenuity, and risk-taking. Pegg's timing, both comedic and dramatic, helps balance the film's intensity, creating a dynamic rhythm between tension and relief. His presence also reinforces the theme of collaboration. Hunt cannot succeed alone, and each team member's contribution is indispensable. The film introduces several new characters who significantly expand the narrative's scope. One of the most prominent is Haley Atwell, whose character functions as both a tactical asset and a narrative wildcard. Atwell brings a sophisticated blend of intelligence, poise, and subtle unpredictability, ensuring that her character remains compelling and relevant throughout the story. Her interactions with Hunt and the team are layered with ambiguity, challenging the audience to consider her loyalties and motivations while also providing critical expertise in high-stakes operations. This duality adds intrigue and depth to the narrative, emphasizing that alliances in this universe are fluid and ever-shifting. Another key addition is Esai Morales, playing a shadowy antagonist whose intelligence, ruthlessness, and strategic vision make him a formidable foil for Hunt. Morales' portrayal is restrained yet menacing. He does not rely on overt theatrics, but instead projects a sense of cold calculation. The character's presence is felt even before he appears on screen directly, through his influence on global events, manipulations of operatives, and orchestration of the AI-based threat central to the plot. Morales' performance elevates the stakes, offering a sophisticated villain whose complexity mirrors the intelligence and adaptability of Hunt and his team. The returning Angela Bassett reprises her role as Erica Sloan, the CIA director, offering a layer of institutional authority and tension. Bassett's commanding presence provides a narrative anchor for the intelligence community's perspective, emphasizing the bureaucratic and geopolitical pressures surrounding Hunt's mission. Her interactions with Hunt oscillate between support and skepticism, creating a dynamic that underscores the difficulties of operating in a morally gray world where success often demands bending rules or making ethically challenging decisions. Pom Klementif joins the ensemble as a new operative, bringing agility, technical expertise, and combat prowess. Klementif's role complements the established team, allowing for more complex tactical maneuvers and creative problem-solving in high-pressure scenarios. Her presence also introduces fresh interpersonal dynamics, challenging existing relationships and adding intrigue to team interactions. This careful integration of new characters ensures that the story feels expansive without becoming overcrowded. The film also includes appearances from Henry Czerny as Eugene Kittredge, whose presence provides continuity with the franchise's earliest films. Kittredge's role, though more limited in screen time, serves as a reminder of the IMF's institutional history and the persistent nature of espionage across decades. It also adds stakes to the narrative, showing that the consequences of past missions can reverberate into present events, aligning with the film's themes of legacy and accountability. An important aspect of the casting in Dead Reckoning is the careful balance between established franchise members and new talent. This strategy allows the film to honor its history while simultaneously evolving to meet contemporary cinematic expectations. Longtime fans are rewarded with familiar faces, while the introduction of new operatives, antagonists, and allies injects fresh energy, ensuring the narrative remains unpredictable and engaging. Each actor's performance is carefully calibrated to maintain narrative cohesion, whether in high-octane action sequences, quiet strategic planning, or emotionally charged confrontations. In terms of character development, Dead Reckoning emphasizes psychological realism alongside physical heroism. Hunt's team is tested not just by the external threat, but by their internal motivations, loyalties, and fears. For example, sequences where team members must decide between personal safety and mission success highlight the nuanced interplay between duty and human instinct. Characters experience doubt, make mistakes, and improvise solutions, ensuring that even during the most extreme action sequences, there is a grounded sense of humanity. The ensemble's chemistry is particularly notable. McQuarrie, Cruz, and the core team have built a shorthand over multiple films, allowing for interactions that feel effortless, spontaneous, and natural. This rapport is critical in a film of this scale, where ensemble coordination mirrors the intricate choreography of the narrative itself. Each character's contribution is narratively significant, and the film continually reinforces the idea that successful espionage relies on collaboration, intelligence, and adaptability. The antagonistic forces are similarly well cast, emphasizing intellect, ruthlessness, and subtlety rather than over-the-top theatrics. This choice enhances narrative tension because the stakes feel grounded. Hunt is facing formidable minds, not merely physical obstacles. The new villainous operatives introduced throughout the film are multi-dimensional, each presenting a distinct challenge that requires unique solutions, keeping the narrative dynamic and the audience guessing. Additionally, the film utilizes recurring actors from previous installments in ways that reinforce continuity without over-reliance on nostalgia. Characters like Luther, Benji, and Sloan are integral to the narrative, but their development continues, reflecting the passage of time, evolving skill sets, and accumulated experience. This approach gives the story a sense of ongoing realism, reminding audiences that these characters exist within a continuous timeline, and that their growth matters both narratively and emotionally. Ultimately, the casting and character design in Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning serve multiple purposes. They honor franchise history, introduce fresh dynamics, elevate narrative tension, and provide the human dimension that makes the high-stakes action resonate. Each actor contributes to a meticulously crafted ensemble, where every interaction, choice, and relationship carries weight. The result is a film that is both a spectacle and a study of human ingenuity, collaboration, and resilience in extreme circumstances. A combination that has defined the franchise and continues to distinguish it from other action blockbusters. At its core, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning is a high-stakes espionage thriller, yet it operates on multiple levels beyond pure action. Without delving into specific spoilers, the story revolves around a world teetering on the edge of chaos, where intelligence, trust, and technology collide in unpredictable ways. Ethan Hunt, the franchise's iconic protagonist, is drawn into a mission that is as much about moral responsibility as it is about tactical execution. From the opening moments, the film establishes that the stakes are monumental. Failure is not merely a matter of personal consequence, but one that could reverberate on a global scale. What sets this installment apart from previous entries is the narrative's intricate layering. The plot isn't a straightforward linear pursuit. It unfolds across multiple locations, with parallel threads that intersect in meaningful ways. While there are sequences of breathtaking stunts and adrenaline-fueled set pieces, the story consistently grounds these moments in character motivation and logical stakes. The audience is made to understand why every chase, infiltration, or confrontation is happening, which adds tension because the danger feels earned rather than arbitrary. The central narrative revolves around a mysterious, high-consequence threat that Hunt and his team must neutralize. While previous films in the franchise have dealt with rogue agents, biological weapons, or destabilizing intelligence operations, Dead Reckoning escalates the stakes to a level where global infrastructure, digital networks, and covert operatives are all interconnected in a delicate balance. This ensures that the audience is not only invested in the physical action, but also intellectually engaged, as each plot development builds on previous events and character decisions. Parallel to the central threat is a strong focus on relationships and trust. The film repeatedly emphasizes that no operative, no matter how skilled, can succeed in isolation. Allies are tested, loyalties are questioned, and the fluidity of trust becomes a thematic backbone. This isn't just an action story, it's also about the human element of espionage, the moral gray zones, and the ethical compromises that define the lives of those operating in the shadows. By weaving interpersonal stakes into the action, the film adds depth to sequences that might otherwise exist solely for spectacle. The narrative also makes strategic use of suspense and misdirection. Viewers are consistently challenged to anticipate outcomes, often being led to believe one course of events will unfold, only to discover the narrative has shifted in unexpected ways. This keeps the story dynamic and engaging, rewarding careful attention while maintaining the tension necessary for a thriller. Subplots involving secondary characters, rival factions, and geopolitical stakes intertwine seamlessly with the main storyline, creating a cohesive yet multi-dimensional narrative that is rare in action-heavy cinema. A hallmark of the franchise is the integration of cutting-edge technology within its narrative framework, and Dead Reckoning continues this tradition. The story's technological elements are plausible within the universe's established logic, offering a sense of realism that elevates the stakes. Cyber warfare, surveillance networks, and advanced security systems are woven into the plot in a way that feels both natural and pressing, creating scenarios where intellect and strategy are just as important as physical prowess. These elements add tension because they are unpredictable and often intangible. An invisible threat that can affect the narrative dramatically in an instant. Another distinctive feature of the plot is its global scope. Unlike films that confine action to a single location or region, Dead Reckoning spans continents, reflecting the international scale of modern espionage. This geographical diversity isn't just for spectacle. Each location introduces new tactical challenges, cultural considerations, and logistical complexities that affect character decisions. From urban landscapes to remote environments, the settings contribute meaningfully to the narrative, shaping both strategy and tension. Each locale feels deliberately chosen to maximize stakes and visual impact, ensuring the audience is constantly immersed in the story world. The story's pacing is deliberately calibrated to maintain engagement without overwhelming the viewer. Intense action sequences are interspersed with quieter, more strategic moments that allow the audience to absorb the narrative and consider character motivations. This rhythm enhances suspense because the audience is given brief reprieves before the tension escalates again. These quieter moments are often where character depth and moral dilemmas are most apparent, reinforcing the idea that Dead Reckoning is as much about human decision-making as it is about spectacle. Throughout the plot, Ethan Hunt's character functions as both the narrative and emotional center. His decisions drive the story forward, yet the film also provides space to explore his internal reflections. The audience sees the weight of responsibility on him, not just for mission success, but for the lives of those around him. This dual emphasis on action and introspection ensures that the story resonates on multiple levels. Viewers experience both the thrill of high-stakes operations and the human cost of living in a world defined by danger and uncertainty. The story also maintains tension through its ensemble cast. Every secondary character has a defined role that directly influences the outcome of events. Decisions made by allies, whether successful or flawed, create cascading consequences that heighten suspense. This interconnectedness makes the narrative feel authentic, as the audience understands that no action exists in isolation. The emphasis on collaboration and individual contribution adds an intellectual dimension to the plot, encouraging viewers to anticipate and analyze outcomes as they unfold. One of the more subtle aspects of the narrative is its exploration of legacy. References to prior missions and previous adversaries are incorporated organically, enhancing continuity without alienating new viewers. These callbacks serve both narrative and thematic purposes, emphasizing that Hunt's actions have lasting consequences, and that the world of espionage operates within a continuum of cause and effect. This layered approach adds richness to the story, providing depth and context to the immediate stakes, while acknowledging the franchise's history. Without revealing plot-specific spoilers, it's clear that Dead Reckoning is structured to escalate tension consistently. Each act introduces new complications, technological challenges, or moral dilemmas that force the characters to adapt. The film's climax is the logical culmination of these escalating stakes, offering a resolution that feels earned both narratively and emotionally. By the conclusion, the audience is not only satisfied by the resolution of immediate threats, but also deeply aware of the journey the characters have undergone, reinforcing the emotional resonance of the story. Visually and structurally, the plot is designed to keep viewers invested. Action sequences are integrated with narrative beats, ensuring that spectacle serves story rather than dominates it. Character motivations remain clear even amidst chaos, and strategic problem-solving is emphasized just as much as physical skill. This balance of intellect, emotion, and action creates a story that is dynamic, engaging, and emotionally compelling. In sum, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning's plot, even when described in spoiler-free terms, demonstrates a meticulous balance between high-octane action, character-driven stakes, technological intrigue, and psychological tension. The narrative maintains a constant sense of urgency, ensures that consequences are meaningful, and provides viewers with both spectacle and substance. It's a story that rewards engagement on multiple levels, appealing to fans of the franchise, while also standing as a robust, self-contained thriller. From a critical standpoint, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning is arguably one of the most accomplished entries in the franchise, and what stands out immediately is the meticulous balance between spectacle and story. Tom Cruise continues to anchor the film with a performance that blends physical daring, emotional depth, and narrative consistency. He doesn't just act the part, he embodies it, performing stunts that are genuinely jaw-dropping, while simultaneously conveying the weight of years of espionage. This duality, adrenaline and gravitas, is something few action stars can convincingly pull off, and Cruise has, over decades, perfected the art. The action sequences deserve particular attention, because they feel earned and, more importantly, organic. Unlike some modern blockbusters that rely almost entirely on CGI, Dead Reckoning prioritizes practical stunts, real locations, and tangible danger. Take, for instance, the sequences involving high-speed chases, cliffside maneuvers, and aircraft stunts. They're not just visually impressive, they heighten narrative tension because the audience senses real risk. Each stunt is carefully integrated into the story, rather than existing purely for spectacle. The result is action that excites on a visceral level, while also advancing plot and character development. Christopher McQuarrie's direction is another standout element. He has consistently demonstrated a knack for blending complex narratives with thrilling set pieces. And in Dead Reckoning, that skill is on full display. The pacing is relentless, but never disorienting. He alternates between kinetic action and quieter, character-driven moments with finesse. The editing, camera work, and choreography create spatial clarity even in the most chaotic sequences, ensuring viewers understand what's happening and why it matters. This clarity is essential in a film where multiple plot threads, high-tech espionage, and sprawling action sequences converge simultaneously. From a story perspective, Dead Reckoning earns praise for its narrative sophistication. The plot is layered and intelligent, incorporating technology, moral ambiguity, and strategic problem-solving in ways that elevate it above a typical action film. The central threat, a high-level AI system, feels plausible within the universe's established logic, creating tension that is both immediate and intellectually engaging. The film carefully explains stakes, consequences, and character motivations without resorting to heavy-handed exposition, making the narrative feel lived in and credible. The supporting cast also shines. Rebecca Ferguson as Ilsa Faust continues to be a powerhouse, balancing elegance, intelligence, and a moral complexity that challenges and complements Hunt. Ving Rhames and Simon Pegg provide continuity, humor, and practical skill, grounding the story in relationships that feel real rather than superficial. Haley Atwell's addition is particularly effective, bringing fresh energy, tactical intelligence, and layered ambiguity that keeps the audience guessing. Esai Morales as the antagonist adds a calm, calculating menace that is far more compelling than over-the-top villainy, giving Hunt a formidable adversary who operates on both intellectual and emotional planes. One of the film's strengths is how it handles tension and suspense. McQuarrie has a talent for drawing the audience into sequences where stakes are high, consequences are tangible, and failure feels possible. Even in scenarios where Hunt is seemingly unstoppable, the film maintains uncertainty through misdirection, unexpected complications, and layered problem-solving. This approach keeps viewers on the edge of their seats, not through manufactured danger, but because the narrative consistently rewards attention and investment. However, the film is not without minor drawbacks. Some viewers may find the dense plotting occasionally challenging to follow, particularly in the first act, where multiple threads are introduced simultaneously. The sheer scale of the operations, global stakes, and interwoven relationships can demand close attention. That said, this complexity is largely a strength. It reflects the high-stakes nature of the espionage world and the intelligence required to navigate it. The key is that every element serves the narrative, meaning attentive viewers are rewarded with clarity and payoff. The film's themes deserve discussion as well. Beyond action, Dead Reckoning explores trust, loyalty, and the moral ambiguities inherent in intelligence work. Characters are frequently faced with decisions that challenge their ethics and personal allegiances, giving weight to moments that might otherwise be overshadowed by spectacle. This thematic layering enriches the narrative, adding a philosophical undertone that resonates with longtime fans who have followed Hunt's journey across decades. Visually, the film is striking. Cinematography emphasizes both scope and intimacy, balancing sprawling global landscapes with confined, tension-filled interiors. Lighting, color grading, and framing all contribute to mood and suspense, whether highlighting a quiet moment of strategic reflection or the chaos of a high-stakes chase. Production design is meticulous. Every set, from secure facilities to urban exteriors, feels purposeful and realistic. This attention to detail reinforces the film's credibility, making its high-octane moments feel more grounded. Sound design and score further enhance the cinematic experience. The mix of high-impact action sounds, environmental audio, and subtle mechanical cues complements the visual storytelling. Lorne Balfe's musical score builds tension effectively, emphasizing narrative beats without overpowering action sequences. The result is an immersive soundscape that heightens suspense, underscores character emotion, and elevates the spectacle to a cinematic level rarely achieved in contemporary action films. Character development is carefully handled. Ethan Hunt is portrayed as a seasoned operative, confronting both external threats and internal conflicts. His relationships with team members and allies, including Faust, Benji, and Luther, are explored in meaningful ways, emphasizing teamwork, trust, and accountability. Even secondary characters have narrative weight. Decisions made by seemingly minor players have real consequences, reinforcing the interconnectedness of the espionage world. This careful treatment ensures that every interaction, choice, and consequence feels earned. In terms of franchise continuity, Dead Reckoning respects its legacy while innovating. Returning elements like familiar gadgets, team dynamics, and previous mission callbacks create a sense of continuity, while new characters, locations, and plot devices push the narrative forward. This balance allows longtime fans to feel at home, while simultaneously engaging new viewers who may be less familiar with past installments. The storytelling manages to satisfy both groups without feeling forced or overly nostalgic. From a purely entertainment perspective, the film succeeds on multiple fronts. Adrenaline sequences are spectacular, stunts are authentic and visually impressive, and narrative tension is sustained throughout. At the same time, the story is thoughtful, characters are well developed, and thematic complexity adds resonance. It is the rare action blockbuster that combines intellect, heart, and spectacle in a cohesive, satisfying way. Ultimately, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning is a triumph of modern action filmmaking. It reaffirms why the franchise remains relevant after decades. Meticulous storytelling, practical stunts, nuanced characters, and unwavering commitment to cinematic authenticity. While some complexity may challenge casual viewers, the payoff is a film that is thrilling, emotionally engaging, and narratively sophisticated. For fans of action cinema, espionage thrillers, or the franchise itself, this installment delivers a rare combination of excitement, depth, and cinematic craft. One of the most fascinating aspects of Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning lies in the abundance of hidden details and behind-the-scenes facts that enrich the viewing experience. First and foremost, Tom Cruise's commitment to performing his own stunts is legendary, and in this film, it reaches new heights. From high-altitude helicopter jumps to scaling cliffs and navigating moving vehicles, Cruise personally executes nearly all major stunts. The production employed extensive safety measures, yet the sequences were intentionally designed to maintain real-world risk. This creates a tangible tension on screen that CGI simply cannot replicate, giving the audience a visceral connection to the action. Fans who pay close attention can spot subtle nuances, like minor missteps, hand adjustments, or the natural way he negotiates complex terrain, that reinforce the authenticity of the stunts. Another hidden detail lies in the film's meticulous continuity. Director Christopher McQuarrie and his team included numerous Easter eggs referencing prior Mission Impossible installments. For example, certain gadgets, mission protocols, and operational jargon are callbacks to earlier films, but they're integrated organically, not as blatant fan service. Observant viewers may notice subtle nods to characters' past actions, an offhand comment about a failed extraction, the use of a familiar safe house layout, or even strategic decisions that echo prior missions. These details enhance immersion for longtime fans, while remaining unobtrusive for first-time viewers. The film's cinematography is rife with clever visual cues. For instance, McQuarrie frequently uses framing to indicate character alignment and tension. In high-stakes negotiation sequences, characters are often positioned with subtle foreground and background divisions, signaling shifting loyalties without explicit exposition. Similarly, color palettes in different locations are carefully chosen to reflect mood and thematic stakes. Cooler tones emphasize uncertainty and danger, whereas warmer tones often appear during moments of trust and strategic clarity. These visual signals reward attentive viewers, allowing them to anticipate narrative developments or sense undercurrents in character interactions. The AI-based threat central to the plot is another area rich with subtle layers. While the technology itself is fictional, its design and operation in the story are grounded in plausibility. Cybersecurity enthusiasts will notice realistic nods to network encryption, intrusion protocols, and system vulnerabilities. Scenes where operatives bypass advanced digital defenses aren't purely cinematic spectacle. They reflect fundamental principles of hacking and counterintelligence. This careful attention to detail adds credibility to the high-tech stakes, ensuring the narrative doesn't rely solely on abstract, magic tech tropes. Locations in Dead Reckoning are another treasure trove of hidden detail. Many exterior sequences were shot on-site in actual cities or natural landscapes, and the production team went to great lengths to incorporate architectural and environmental authenticity. For example, urban chase sequences are choreographed to take advantage of real-world structures, alleyways, and traffic patterns, giving the film a sense of grounded realism. Fans familiar with these locations may notice landmarks subtly included in background shots, providing both geographic veracity and cinematic texture. There are also small, character-driven details that enhance narrative depth. The filmmakers deliberately incorporate moments that hint at the character's internal states, such as slight pauses, facial micro-expressions, or brief glances toward mission-relevant objects. These aren't always necessary for plot comprehension, but they subtly reinforce themes of trust, risk assessment, and emotional stakes. For example, Ethan Hunt often surveys his environment or scans allies' reactions before taking action, a nod to his strategic foresight and accumulated experience over decades of missions. Another hidden gem is the inclusion of practical effects blended with digital enhancements. While CGI is used sparingly, it's seamlessly integrated to enhance, rather than replace, practical stunts. Explosions, environmental destruction, and vehicle maneuvers often combine real-world mechanics with subtle digital polish, allowing the sequences to appear larger than life without breaking the audience's suspension of disbelief. Observant viewers can spot this careful craftsmanship in how debris interacts with actors, how shadows fall consistently, and how camera angles highlight practical interactions over digital simulations. The film also rewards attention to sound design. Beyond the obvious action cues, there are auditory Easter eggs tied to specific characters or plot points. A particular ringtone, mechanical whirring, or ambient noise may indicate surveillance, AI activity, or impending danger. These cues are subtle, often appearing in background audio, but they heighten suspense and add an extra layer of storytelling for viewers who are listening closely. Combined with Lorne Balfe's score, the soundscape becomes a narrative device, reinforcing tension and guiding audience focus. Dialogue in Dead Reckoning contains numerous layers worth noting. Lines that may seem incidental on a first viewing often carry foreshadowing, character insight, or thematic resonance. For example, casual comments about previous missions, strategic methodology, or moral responsibility frequently hint at plot developments or character decisions later in the film. Macquarie's scripts are designed to reward multiple viewings, allowing attentive fans to pick up on nuances that enhance narrative cohesion and character depth. Small continuity nods also appear in props and wardrobe choices. Hunt's tactical gear, vehicles, and even minor gadgets are sometimes carried over from prior films, creating a sense of continuity while simultaneously serving functional narrative purposes. Similarly, minor costume details, like gloves, harnesses, or watches, are carefully designed to reflect character traits, situational readiness, or strategic planning. These subtle inclusions demonstrate the production's dedication to creating a coherent, immersive world. In terms of character dynamics, the film embeds micro-conflicts and foreshadowed developments that may not be immediately obvious. Shifts in trust, fleeting glances, and reactionary body language often hint at internal struggles or potential betrayal. While these details don't disrupt comprehension, they enrich the narrative experience for viewers who notice them, adding a layer of sophistication uncommon in action-centric blockbusters. Finally, the marketing and production notes themselves reveal hidden details. Crews reportedly rehearsed stunts months in advance, while key sequences were storyboarded meticulously to ensure safety and precision. Several set pieces were filmed in ways designed to maximize spatial clarity for the audience, even when multiple elements were interacting simultaneously. This attention to detail, both on-screen and off, reinforces the franchise's reputation for high-level craftsmanship, where every action sequence, narrative beat, and visual cue is deliberate and carefully considered. Overall, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning rewards observant audiences with layers of hidden details, continuity nods, and narrative craftsmanship. From stunts and cinematography to dialogue and sound design, nearly every element has been designed to serve multiple functions, advancing story, reinforcing character, and heightening immersion. These thoughtful inclusions distinguish the film as not merely a blockbuster, but a meticulously engineered cinematic experience that continues to define the franchise's enduring excellence. When assessing why Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning has blockbuster potential, the reasons are manifold, and they stem from a combination of franchise legacy, star power, narrative sophistication, and audience expectation management. First and foremost, the franchise itself carries immense built-in value. The Mission Impossible series has spanned over 2 decades, cultivating a dedicated fan base while consistently evolving to meet contemporary action standards. Each installment has raised the bar for stunts, practical effects, and international espionage storytelling, creating an expectation that every new film will deliver a spectacle unlike anything else in mainstream cinema. This cumulative credibility is a cornerstone of the film's potential box office success. Tom Cruise, as both lead actor and a producer, heavily involved in creative decisions, is another significant factor. His commitment to performing real stunts sets the franchise apart in a crowded marketplace dominated by CGI-heavy spectacles. The marketing itself capitalizes on this unique selling point. Audiences know that when Cruise is dangling from a cliff or piloting a helicopter at high altitude, the danger is real, the skill is tangible, and the thrill is authentic. This combination of authenticity and celebrity draws not only franchise fans, but also casual moviegoers seeking adrenaline-fueled entertainment grounded in real-world daring. The timing of the release is equally strategic. Dropping in mid-summer positions the film to dominate the tentpole season, taking advantage of peak theater attendance and international school holidays. It also avoids direct competition with other mega franchises in superhero or fantasy genres, allowing Dead Reckoning to capture attention across multiple demographics. Studios know that summer releases with the right mix of spectacle, star power, and critical buzz can dominate global box office charts for weeks, and this film is deliberately designed to hit all those marks. From a storytelling standpoint, the film balances high-concept thrills with relatable human stakes. The narrative isn't merely about action, it's about trust, strategy, and the human consequences of espionage. Audiences are invested in Hunt and his team, not just because of the stunts they perform, but because the characters are well-developed, morally complex, and emotionally grounded. This combination of heart and spectacle ensures the film appeals to a broader demographic, including both traditional action fans and viewers seeking character-driven storytelling. The action sequences themselves are cinematic spectacles designed for maximum impact. They are diverse, escalating, and globally set, featuring high-speed chases, aerial stunts, urban infiltration, and remote environment maneuvers. Each set piece is choreographed with precision, using practical effects enhanced subtly with CGI to maintain realism while amplifying drama. This careful calibration ensures the film is visually stunning without sacrificing narrative clarity. The sequences are also designed to be shareable. Trailers, clips, and behind-the-scenes content can circulate online, fueling word-of-mouth buzz even before wide release. International appeal is another critical factor. The film's narrative spans multiple continents, incorporating culturally recognizable locations, globally relevant stakes, and a diverse cast of characters. This ensures resonance across markets in North America, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Studios are acutely aware that international box office revenue increasingly drives global profitability, and Dead Reckoning is constructed to appeal to audiences worldwide, not just domestically. Marketing strategy further bolsters blockbuster potential. Paramount Pictures executed a multi-phase campaign, emphasizing both the narrative stakes and Cruise's unparalleled stunt work. Teasers and trailers were strategically released to maintain momentum, supplemented by social media content that engages fans directly with challenges, behind-the-scenes looks, and interactive campaigns. By leveraging both traditional and digital marketing channels, the studio ensured maximum visibility and anticipation, a proven driver for opening weekend box office success. The ensemble cast also strengthens the film's appeal. Rebecca Ferguson, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Haley Atwell, and Esai Morales, among others, bring both star power and credibility. Their performances balance humor, tension, and emotional resonance, ensuring the story remains dynamic and engaging. Well-rounded supporting characters add depth, create narrative interlocks, and expand audience investment beyond Ethan Hunt himself. This ensemble approach not only makes the narrative richer, but also widens the film's demographic appeal. Fans of any of the supporting actors are motivated to see the movie. Franchise continuity contributes to its blockbuster potential as well. Returning elements like familiar gadgets, callbacks to previous missions, and narrative continuity reward loyal fans, creating anticipation and emotional investment. Meanwhile, fresh characters, new technology threats, and inventive locations prevent the story from feeling repetitive. This balance ensures that the film caters to both longtime followers and first-time viewers, a critical factor for sustained box office traction. The timing within the industry cycle is also advantageous. In 2023, competing films in the same action spy genre were limited, meaning Dead Reckoning could occupy a relatively uncontested niche. Unlike superhero franchises or fantasy epics that often split audiences across multiple releases, this film stands as a singular offering in the midsummer schedule. Its combination of practical stunts, espionage narrative, and globe-spanning action gives it a unique market position that can translate into both strong initial attendance and extended word-of-mouth success. Another hidden driver of blockbuster potential is audience trust. Over the past 7 installments, the franchise has consistently delivered, establishing confidence that the latest film will meet expectations. This trust encourages both fans and casual viewers to commit to a theater experience, particularly for sequences that benefit from IMAX, Dolby Cinema, or other premium formats. These experiences amplify the film's spectacle, making a theatrical viewing feel indispensable, a crucial factor in today's age of streaming and at-home convenience. Critical reception also plays a role. Early reviews highlighted Cruise's commitment, the ensemble's performances, and the precision of the stunts, creating positive pre-release buzz. Combined with social media amplification, influencer commentary, and fan anticipation, this contributes to a perception of quality that can drive box office momentum. Word of mouth, particularly for action-oriented, visually spectacular films, remains one of the strongest predictors of sustained success. Finally, Dead Reckoning benefits from being a meticulously crafted combination of narrative, spectacle, and global relevance. It's not merely an action film, it's a cinematic event, blending technical achievement, high-consequence storytelling, and character depth. These elements together make it not only appealing to fans of the franchise, but also compelling to casual moviegoers, critics, and international audiences. The convergence of star power, franchise legacy, marketing strategy, and cinematic craft positions Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning as a bona fide blockbuster, a film designed not just for box office success, but for cultural impact, audience immersion, and long-term franchise vitality. As the credits roll on Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, it becomes clear that this film is more than just another entry in a long-running franchise. It's a testament to the enduring power of cinematic storytelling when craft, vision, and dedication align. There's a particular resonance in the way the film closes, a sense of culmination not only for the immediate narrative, but also for the broader trajectory of the series. Ethan Hunt's journey, both physically and emotionally, reflects decades of action cinema evolution. The story leaves viewers with a satisfying resolution that acknowledges the past, celebrates the present, and hints at the possibilities of future missions without feeling forced or overextended. One of the most compelling aspects of the outro is how it balances closure with anticipation. While major plot threads are resolved in a way that is coherent and emotionally satisfying, there are also subtle narrative signals suggesting that the world of espionage remains dangerous, complex, and far from fully explored. This tension between resolution and open-ended potential is a hallmark of the franchise, and in Dead Reckoning, it's handled with a deft hand. It ensures that audiences leave the theater feeling both content and intrigued, a combination that reinforces long-term fan engagement and discussion. Visually, the outro sequences are striking without being over the top. Where earlier action set pieces relied on extreme motion and peril, the final scenes use restraint to emphasize character and thematic closure. There are lingering shots of familiar faces, reflective pauses on key locations, and visual callbacks to iconic sequences from previous films. These choices create a sense of continuity, grounding the high-stakes narrative in recognizable emotional and spatial touchpoints. Even subtle background elements, like a piece of tech, a vehicle, or a costume element, serve as narrative echoes, reinforcing the film's internal coherence and attention to detail. Thematically, the outro emphasizes endurance, teamwork, and moral responsibility. Hunt's decisions and the consequences of his actions underscore the film's message. The life of an operative is defined not only by courage and skill, but also by the ethical and relational decisions made in the heat of critical moments. Supporting characters are not merely adjuncts to the lead. Their actions and choices carry tangible impact, reinforcing the franchise's recurring theme that espionage is a collective endeavor, with success depending on trust, strategy, and collaboration. Sound design and score play a crucial role in shaping the outro's impact. Lorne Balfe's music underscores both triumph and tension, weaving motifs that recall earlier narrative moments while signaling a sense of resolution. The auditory cues are subtle yet deliberate, ensuring that even in quieter moments, the audience feels the weight of accumulated tension and the satisfaction of achieved goals. Sound bridges between sequences help maintain narrative continuity, allowing the outro to flow seamlessly from the climax, while reinforcing emotional resonance. Another key element of the outro is the careful attention to character arcs. Ethan Hunt, having confronted both external threats and internal dilemmas, emerges as a figure defined by resilience, strategic brilliance, and human vulnerability. Secondary characters similarly receive narrative acknowledgement. Moments of reflection, brief interactions, and narrative closure reinforce their importance to the story's resolution. These arcs are not over-explained. Rather, they are shown through subtle performance cues, action beats, and dialogue, respecting the audience's intelligence while rewarding emotional investment. The outro also subtly prepares for the franchise's future without diminishing the impact of the current story. Hints of new adversaries, emerging technologies, and unresolved global challenges suggest that the world of Mission Impossible remains dynamic and ongoing. These elements are carefully calibrated. They generate curiosity and anticipation without overshadowing the immediate narrative, demonstrating an understanding of franchise longevity and audience expectation management. The balance between closure and open-ended narrative potential is one of the reasons the series continues to maintain relevance in an increasingly crowded action landscape. From a cinematic craftsmanship perspective, the outro is a showcase of the franchise's attention to practical detail. Production design, cinematography, and visual composition all contribute to a sense of spatial and narrative completeness. Locations are revisited with careful framing, character positioning communicates subtle relational dynamics, and lighting reinforces both mood and thematic undertone. Even the placement of objects within a scene often carries narrative significance, reflecting the careful integration of visual storytelling and plot resolution. Audience engagement in the outro extends beyond the screen. The careful placement of Easter eggs, callbacks, and subtle foreshadowing ensures that fans are rewarded for attentive viewing. Whether it's a recognizable piece of equipment, a line of dialogue echoing a previous mission, or a fleeting visual motif, these details create a sense of intimacy between filmmakers and viewers. This layered storytelling encourages discussion, repeat viewings, and engagement across fan communities, reinforcing the film's cultural footprint beyond its theatrical run. Emotionally, the outro delivers satisfaction without sentimentality. High-stakes moments are balanced with reflective pauses that allow characters and audience alike to process consequences, victories, and losses. The film respects the intelligence and emotional investment of viewers, delivering a conclusion that feels earned, nuanced, and true to the franchise's ethos. It's a closing chapter that underscores why the Mission Impossible series has endured. It blends spectacle with substance, thrills with thoughtfulness, and action with human insight. Finally, the outro reinforces the thematic heartbeat of the franchise, the intersection of courage, strategy, and human connection in the face of relentless danger. Dead Reckoning leaves audiences with a sense of closure, tempered by anticipation, celebrating both the immediate narrative and the broader saga. It's a testament to careful filmmaking, character-driven storytelling, and the enduring power of the Mission Impossible brand. In an age of cinematic spectacle, it reminds us that high-octane action is most impactful when it is anchored by coherent narrative, compelling characters, and meticulously crafted cinematic detail. Before we wrap up, I want to take a moment to talk about what this channel represents and why it's worth subscribing to for anyone who loves Hollywood movies, especially blockbusters like Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. This channel isn't just another YouTube page spitting out generic reviews. Every piece of content here is designed with honesty, detail, and depth in mind. The goal is to give you the most realistic, insightful, and fully contextual understanding of each movie. From trailers and plot breakdowns to cast insights, hidden details, and franchise impact. If you've ever been frustrated by reviews that hype films without substance or rely on clickbait, you'll immediately recognize the difference here. We dive deep, connect dots, and provide context that you rarely get elsewhere. Our approach is straightforward. We treat films as both entertainment and as craft. Every review considers acting, direction, production design, cinematography, stunt work, score, and storytelling. For Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, for example, we didn't just talk about the stunts you saw on screen. We examined the logistics behind them, the continuity of character arcs, the franchise legacy, and the way each sequence serves the story. This is the kind of review that turns casual viewing into a richer, more informed experience. When you watch here, you're getting both the wow factor and the why it works factor, giving you a full cinematic perspective. We also make a point of being spoiler conscious when necessary. There's a difference between providing meaningful insight and ruining the story. That's why we structure our content in chapters: spoiler-free breakdowns, deep dive story analyses, hidden details, and ultimate thematic conclusions, so you can choose what you want to know before seeing the film in theaters or streaming. By the time you finish watching one of our videos, you've not only understood the movie, but also developed a richer appreciation for the craft, storytelling choices, and cinematic impact. Another distinguishing factor of this channel is our focus on realism and critical honesty. Unlike channels that overhype blockbusters or rely on exaggerated claims to boost engagement, we approach each review with skepticism, careful analysis, and industry-informed judgment. If a movie excels, we explain exactly why, citing technical, narrative, or performance-based reasons. If a movie falters, we point it out constructively, highlighting missed opportunities or inconsistencies. This ensures that every recommendation is trustworthy, grounded, and insightful. allowing viewers to make informed choices about what to watch. We're also deeply interested in franchise context, continuity, and character evolution. This is particularly important for long-running series like Mission Impossible. Understanding Ethan Hunt's journey across multiple films, the evolution of his relationships with allies like Luther, Benji, and Ilsa Faust, or the development of recurring antagonists adds layers to the viewing experience. Our videos give you that context, allowing you to appreciate the long-term narrative arcs, creative decisions, and stylistic evolution across the franchise. This perspective is rare in most movie reviews, which often isolate a single film rather than connecting it to its broader cinematic universe. Beyond just reviews, this channel is a resource for hidden details and production insights. For Dead Reckoning, we highlighted things like Cruise's real-life stunt work, McQuarrie's directorial decisions, the integration of practical effects with CGI, and subtle narrative Easter eggs that enrich repeat viewings. Every detail matters, and we make sure our viewers are the first to catch them, giving you a deeper appreciation for the craft that goes into blockbuster filmmaking. By understanding these behind-the-scenes elements, you not only enjoy the movie more, but also gain insight into how films are conceived, executed, and marketed globally. We also prioritize accessibility and community. Our goal isn't just to deliver content, but to create a space where viewers can engage with films critically. Our chapters, structured explanations, and analytical approach allow for discussions that go beyond "it was good" or "it was bad." Whether you're a casual moviegoer or a cinephile who wants a deeper understanding of filmmaking, you'll find content here that informs, entertains, and sparks conversation. Comments, debates, and viewer insights are encouraged because cinema is, at its core, a shared experience. And this channel aims to honor that collaborative spirit. When it comes to blockbusters like Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, this channel ensures you see the film not just as spectacle, but as art, craft, and storytelling. We cover everything: cast dynamics, plot structure, hidden details, thematic exploration, production design, stunts, technology, visual effects, sound design, score, marketing strategy, and global reception. Our holistic approach means that every review is both comprehensive and digestible, giving you more than just a rating or reaction. You leave with understanding, context, and perspective that enhances the way you watch films going forward. In short, subscribing to this channel gives you a front row seat to honest, insightful, and deeply researched movie reviews. You'll gain access to cinematic breakdowns that feel like a conversation with a knowledgeable friend who cares about both entertainment and craft. We give you transparency about what works, what doesn't, and why, ensuring you're equipped to fully appreciate the latest releases, anticipate upcoming blockbusters, and even revisit classics with fresh eyes. So, if you love Hollywood movies, especially action-packed blockbusters, spy thrillers, and franchise films, you'll find a home here. We don't just talk about movies. We analyze, contextualize, and celebrate them while giving you honest, critical insight that respects your intelligence. This is the channel that connects fans to the cinematic experience in a way that's thoughtful, immersive, and engaging, ensuring you'll never look at a blockbuster the same way again. For Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning and every future release, you'll get everything you need to know, from cast and stunts to plot intricacies, hidden details, and industry context, presented in a way that is human, reflective, and deeply informed. This is the promise of the channel: honesty, depth, and cinematic insight you can trust.